Hi, I'm Jennifer. I'm 50 years old, and I live in a quaint little house in the suburbs. I've always had a passion for cooking, but lately, it feels like that's all I have. My husband has been consumed with work, leaving me feeling isolated and unfulfilled. I never imagined that at this stage of my life, I would be yearning for something more, something passionate and exciting. One evening, as I stood in my bright kitchen, the sun poured through the windows, and I decided to make my favorite pasta dish. Cooking has always been my escape, a way to pour my heart into something tangible. But this time, my mind wandered to the growing distance between my husband and me, and a flutter of desire stirred within me for something or someone different. I was wearing my nightie, as I was alone in the kitchen, and I was in my own thoughts. It has a deep neck of net fabric. Suddenly, my stepson, Alex, called from the living room. "Hey, Jen, what's cooking?" "Just some pasta," I replied, forcing a smile. I just forgot to cover myself by looking at him, as he was so charming and handsome. "Want some help?" "Sure," I said. "I'll be right there," he responded, and a wave of anticipation washed over me. Alex soon appeared in the kitchen, tall and athletic, with tousled hair that made him look effortlessly charming. He wore a fitted t-shirt and jeans that hugged his form just right. His presence instantly filled the room, and I felt a spark ignite within me. "What can I do?" he asked, leaning against the counter, his blue eyes sparkling with interest. "Can you stir the sauce?" "It needs some love," I replied, handing him a wooden spoon. Our hands brushed momentarily, the touch sending a shiver down my spine, and I tried to shake off the feeling as he stirred. I busied myself with the ingredients, but the tension in the air was palpable. I couldn't help but steal glances at him as he concentrated on the task, my heart racing, thinking about how we had grown closer over the past few months. "Wow, this smells amazing," Alex said, a playful smile gracing his lips. "You really know how to make the best meals." "Thanks." "Cooking is my passion," I said, feeling a warmth bloom in my chest. "Do you cook at all?" "Not really, I guess I've never had the patience for it," he admitted, a glint of mischief in his eyes. "But I'm learning from the best." As we worked side by side, the air grew thick with an unspoken tension. I could feel Alex's gaze on me, and when I looked up to meet his eyes, my heart raced at the intensity I found there. He was looking with more passion, and his eyes were full of desire as my chest peeked through my net nightie, and I have a thick figure, so every curve was visible. "Jen, can I ask you something?" he said, his voice soft and sincere. "Of course," I replied, my heart pounding. "Do you ever think about us?" he asked, taking a step closer, the heat radiating from him making me feel breathless. I felt a rush of vulnerability wash over me. "What do you mean?" I asked, trying to sound casual even though my heart raced. "I mean, there's definitely something between us," he said, his voice low. "I can feel it." His touch sent a wave of warmth coursing through me, and for a moment, I was lost in his gaze. "Alex, this is complicated," I finally managed to say, my voice trembling. "I know, but I can't ignore it anymore," he replied, his eyes searching mine. "I want to be closer to you." The air thickened with tension, and my heart raced at the thought of crossing that line. "What do you want?" I asked, my breath hitching. "I want to kiss you," he said, his voice a whisper of longing. His words sent a rush of desire through me, and before I could think, I nodded, "Okay." In an instant, Alex closed the distance between us, cupping my face in his hands and leaning in. Our lips met softly at first, a gentle exploration that quickly deepened into something more passionate. I melted against him, feeling his warmth envelop me as I kissed him back, every nerve ending alive with desire. His hand slipped around my waist, then towards my big chest, and he starts pressing it and kissing on my nips, pulling me closer as I tangled my finger in his hair, deepening the kiss. The taste of him was intoxicating, and I surrendered to the moment, all thoughts of consequences fading away as we kissed. The world around us faded into nothing. The kitchen filled with the scent of cooking, but all I could focus on was the way Alex's lips moved against mine, the way his body pressed against me, igniting a fire within. Suddenly, the sound of boiling water snapped us back to reality. We pulled apart, breathless, our foreheads resting against each other as we caught our breath. "What just happened?" Alex asked, his voice thick with emotion. "I think we crossed a line," I replied, my heart racing, "but I don't regret it." "Me neither," he said, a smile breaking through his seriousness. "What do we do now?" I looked into his eyes, feeling a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Maybe we should just see where this goes," I suggested, my voice barely above a whisper. Alex's smile widened, and he leaned in to kiss me again, this time more fervently. "I'd like that." As we pulled away, I felt exhilarated. The kitchen filled with laughter, stolen glances, and whispers of shared secrets. The night was still young, and the world outside felt distant as we navigated this newfound connection. Once dinner was ready, we set the table together, the intimacy between us palpable as we ate. Our conversations flowed easily, but the tension lingered, unspoken yet electric. After dinner, Alex helped me clean up, our hands brushing against each other again, sending sparks of desire racing through me. "What do you want to do now?" he asked, his voice low. I bit my lip, contemplating our next move. "I think we should talk about what this means for us," I said, my heart pounding. "Yeah, I think we should," Alex agreed, his expression serious yet hopeful. We moved to the living room, settling onto the couch together. My heart raced as I turned to face him, the gravity of the moment settling in. "Alex, this is complicated. We need to be careful," I said. "I know, but I can't help how I feel about you," he replied, his eyes earnest. "You mean so much to me." My heart swelled at his words. "You mean a lot to me too," I admitted, feeling vulnerable yet liberated. We shared stories, dreams, and fears, deepening our connection as we spoke openly about our feelings. The conversation flowed effortlessly, and I felt like we were truly getting to know each other in a way that went beyond the physical. After a while, Alex took my hand in his thumb brushing against my skin. "Can I kiss you again?" he asked, his voice low and filled with desire. "Yes," I breathed, my heart racing in anticipation. He leaned in, capturing my lips in a passionate kiss that reignited the fire between us. As our kisses deepened, I felt myself losing track of time, lost in the warmth of his embrace and the intoxicating connection we shared. As the clock ticked toward midnight, the air in the living room hung thick with unspoken promises and a lingering desire that crackled like electricity between us. My heart raced with each kiss, each gentle touch, and the thought of where this night might lead us made my breath hitch in anticipation. "Let's go to my room," I suggested, my voice barely above a whisper, my heart pounding with excitement and nerves. "Are you sure?" Alex asked, searching my eyes for confirmation. "I am," I replied, a thrill running through me at the idea of us being alone together. He took my hand, leading me down the hallway, the soft glow of the moonlight guiding our way. Once inside my bedroom, the atmosphere shifted. It felt intimate, charged with the intensity of what we had shared earlier. I could feel the warmth of his body so close to mine, the unrelenting pull of desire between us. "Wow," Alex said, glancing around, but I could see his attention was mostly on me. I felt shy under his gaze, my heart racing. "Thanks," I replied, moving to sit on the edge of the bed, inviting him to join me. As he sat down beside me, I could feel the warmth radiating off him, and I could no longer resist the urge to kiss him again. Our lips met in a fervent kiss, the world outside fading away as I lost myself in the taste of him. His hands found their way to my waist, pulling me closer, and I could feel the heat of his body against mine, igniting a fire deep within me. Just as I was about to deepen the kiss, the sudden sound of the doorbell rang through the quiet house, startling us both. We pulled apart, breathless, our foreheads resting against each other as we listened. "Is that?" Alex began, his voice trailing off. It must be Dad, I said, my heart racing with sudden anxiety. We both knew he had been out for the night, but I wasn't expecting him to return so soon. He's probably back early, Alex nodded, his expression a mix of concern and disappointment. Do you want me to go answer it? I shook my head, feeling a rush of protectiveness. No, let me just. I stood up and made my way to the living room, my heart pounding in my chest as I opened the door. I was met not by my husband, but by a delivery person holding a parcel. Delivery for Jennifer, the person said, handing me the small box. Thanks, I replied, taking the package and closing the door, my mind racing with the interruption. I returned to the bedroom, finding Alex still seated on the bed, an amused expression on his face. Not Dad, he teased. Nope, just a package, I said, holding it up. Want to see what it is? Sure, he said, his curiosity piqued. I sat back down beside him and opened the box, revealing a beautiful silk scarf I had ordered online. The fabric shimmered under the soft light of the room. Oh, that's stunning, Alex exclaimed, reaching out to touch it. You should wear it. I smiled at his enthusiasm. I was thinking of wearing it as a headscarf, maybe, but why not try it on now, he suggested, a playful glint in his eye. I'd love to see how it looks on you. I hesitated for a moment, but the playful challenge in his voice made my heart race with excitement. All right, why not? I stood up and walked over to my dresser, draping the scarf around my neck and tying it in a way that felt both elegant and playful. As I turned to show him, I could see his eyes widen with admiration. Wow, you look incredible, he said, his gaze locking onto mine with a burning intensity. Thanks, I said, feeling a rush of warmth at his compliment. It's just a scarf. Just a scarf, he said, shaking his head. You make it look like a work of art. I felt bold, and a sudden idea struck me. Do you want to see how it looks when I dance? Dance? He echoed, intrigued. I nodded, and before I could second-guess myself, I turned on some soft music playing from my phone. I began to sway to the rhythm, letting the fabric of the scarf flow with my movements, my hips gently rocking as I danced. Alex watched, mesmerized, his eyes never leaving my figure as I twirled and spun, the scarf gliding elegantly around me. I felt liberated, lost in the music, and I could see the heat in his gaze intensifying with each movement. I approached him, letting the scarf drift around us, teasing him as I moved closer. Do you like it? I asked playfully, twirling around him. Very much, he replied, his voice low and filled with desire. You're breathtaking, Jen. With the music playing softly in the background, I closed the distance between us, standing before him as I danced. Our bodies were just inches apart, the atmosphere thick with anticipation, and I could feel my heart pounding as I let the scarf slip from my shoulders, letting it cascade down, revealing the delicate fabric of my blouse underneath. Wow, Alex breathed, reaching out to touch the fabric, his fingers brushing against my arm. You're so beautiful, his touch sent a thrill through me, igniting the fire of desire that had been simmering all evening. I stepped closer, my breath mingling with his as I whispered, "Why don't you join me?" With a smirk, he stood up, taking my hands in his. We began to dance together, moving in rhythm, our bodies swaying and entwining. I felt his hands on my waist, pulling me closer, and I melted into his embrace, losing myself in the moment as we danced. I could feel the heat between us building. He leaned down, capturing my lips once more in a deep, passionate kiss. I responded eagerly, losing myself in the sweetness of his mouth, the warmth of his body against mine. Suddenly, the music faded into the background, as the world around us became a blur, and it was just us in our little sanctuary. I could feel his hands exploring my back, sending shivers of pleasure coursing through me as the kiss deepened. Alex backed me gently toward the bed, never breaking the connection between us. The silk scarf fell to the floor, forgotten, as we stumbled onto the bed, laughter mingling with breathless kisses. What are we doing? I giggled, pulling back slightly, but his hands found my waist again, pulling me closer. Something we both want, he replied, his eyes dark with desire. Just let it happen. With that, he captured my lips again, and I surrendered to the moment, feeling the weight of my inhibitions lift as we embraced the passion that had been building between us all night. The kiss deepened, and I could feel the heat radiating from him, my heart racing as we lost ourselves in the desire that had ignited between us. Every touch felt electric, every kiss sent waves of warmth coursing through me as we tumbled onto the bed. I felt a rush of exhilaration mixed with nervousness. We both knew we were crossing boundaries, but it felt so right. Are you sure about this? I asked, breathless between kisses, my heart pounding with excitement and a touch of uncertainty. I've never been more sure of anything, he replied, his voice low and filled with longing. With that reassurance, I melted back into him, letting the warmth of our connection wash over me as we surrendered to the passion that had blossomed in the kitchen and now spilled into this intimate sanctuary. The night was still young, and the adventure between us had only just begun.